And hello again, and welcome once more to ICB TV. It's 3 o'clock, so it must be ICB TV time, and I'm very pleased to have you with me. It's a very strange day out here. I don't know what the weather's like with you. We've got wind and all sorts of things, but I think the Prime Minister's message yesterday was perhaps a little misunderstood, but we seem to have a lot more traffic at the moment, so I'm hoping that's not the start of people going completely mad. Anyway, I am sharing stage today with 3 of our members who are on, and I've described today as being a fireside chat. Technically not a fireside, but the general idea is that we're just going to have a chat, see what sort of questions come from you, the members, but talk about life as it is at the moment, how we see it moving forward, and to get an idea really of what ICB needs to do next. It's not that we're floundering or we're running short of ideas, but I just want to make sure we're on the right path for everybody. So we have a representation from England, Scotland and Wales, not from Northern Ireland, unfortunately. We will be doing that shortly, but not today, for no reason other than I couldn't get hold of anybody to get them on. But so today I'm very pleased from Wales. We've got Nicola Payne. Hi, Nicola.
Hello. Hello.
We have Coral Ann, who is with us from England.
Hi.
She's coming to, without picture. She's coming to. She's voice only. She's a voiceover artist today, and nothing else. And then we have Kathryn Cowin from Scotland.
Hi.
Hello. Yes, and you're there, and I can see some fantastic pictures on the back of your. Is that a fridge or something on behind you?
That's my filing cabinet. That's a variety of animals that are sponsored.
You like dogs, obviously.
I've got 2 of my own, yeah, but they're guide dogs, those ones there, and some donkeys that are sponsored and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Right, okay. Great. All right, well, we've all been doing this now for about 5 or 6 weeks, and we've had the panic, we've had the calm before the storm before the calm, and various other things. So what's it like up in Scotland then, Kathryn? Because we're seeing your inimitable First Lady doing her stuff, and a bit of odds, I think, with our Prime Minister at the moment, and she's not wanting to take the lockdown off quite yet. How are you finding things? Because you're out in the country, aren't you?
Yes, people describe me as being in the middle of nowhere. So I have a small holding out here, so I have sheep to look after on a daily basis. So there's kind of routine to my day, regardless of whether we're in lockdown or not, you know. We're still more in lockdown up here than you are possibly down there, although it all seems to be a little bit confused. But obviously I can't go out and see my clients at the moment. It's the same as everybody. So
other than the main cities, everywhere in Scotland is in the middle of nowhere. Tell us where exactly the middle of nowhere is for you.
I'm I'm in the central belt, roughly kind of mid-distance between Edinburgh and Glasgow. So I can get into the centre of Edinburgh, Glasgow in sort of under an hour anyway.
Yeah, because Scotland actually, I mean, it's been said so many times, but it is a very long country. I remember when we first started the Institute, we had the Earl of Kintore as our president. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us. And we drove up, went up by train, got as far as Edinburgh, and then presumed it was a short trip onto him up in Keith and in Veruri, and it seemed to be just as long again, and we were still going, you know. So it is a long way, isn't it? Do you get used to it, or I suppose it's no different if you've always done it, but it seems such a long way away from London, basically. Does that matter?
I can't say it bothers me being a long way from London.
No, it doesn't.
It's generally got too many people and all closed in, and I like the open spaces. So you know, I can get I have all amenities that I need within sort of half an hour. So it's, you know, in that respect, it's not a problem. I suppose you get different types of clients possibly, but you know, I have quite a few agricultural related, rural kind of clients.
All right, Nicola, you're down in Wales, Cardiff Fire of Duff, isn't it they call it? What's life like in Wales at the moment?
Well, we're still on lockdown. We're still definitely got the message saying stay at home. So kind of got into a routine now of just working as normal, and just life goes on, really. Yeah, we kind of got used to it now, I think, at the minute. Obviously still can't see clients, so doing that obviously is more on the phone or remotely as possible. But yeah, just carrying on doing the work, really.
So we anticipated a huge number of our members going through quite severe difficulties. I gather some are finding it a bit tough, but generally speaking, it's been a little better than most people thought, because some clients are finding it difficult, others are going to need more help, etc., etc. I mean, how are you finding it generally? The work is still there?
Yeah, for me, the work is still there. I've got a couple of clients that are carrying on. They're still working. One is in the funeral services industry, so obviously they're continuing. I've got another charity that is continuing as well. They're doing food deliveries, that sort of thing. So they're going. So all their paperwork is carrying on as normal. Others have actually opted to use the time to catch up, where there may be clients that have got a bit behind or have just taken them on, so they're in a bit of a mess and need a bit more of a catch up. So we're utilising that time to sort of try and get on top of things a bit as well. The ones that are struggling and have just closed, then obviously, yeah, there's not so much paperwork coming through, but just trying to utilise the time wisely with the clients that we can work on, and the work that we can do, really.
Caroline, you've been locked down for some time, and
yeah.
We explain what you're up to and all the rest of it. Life carries on?
It certainly does. I mean, I predominantly look after the self-employed. So at the moment, obviously, with the announcements with how to log on and register to be able to get the grant, etc., that's been quite testing, because there's been quite a lot of clients that have wanted me to do it on their behalf, but obviously we can't. And then I have some older clients that don't really understand the internet and how to do things. So it's also sort of, attending to them and making sure they're entitled and that they can fulfill what they need to do to be able to get this grant. So it's definitely been a testing time, but hopefully all the clients will be safe.
So how many clients do you have, roughly?
To be honest, I don't actually know. Probably near 100 now.
That's a lot of clients.
It is, but because it's predominantly self-employed, it's once a year. I've started looking after small limited companies, and I must say I'm quite enjoying that, because I sort of look at it as like the investigating side, obviously piecing it all together. That's what I enjoy, and that's what I love with the self-employed. But I do find with the self-employed, it's getting harder and harder to keep costs down for them, because with making tax digital and everything like that, the costs are coming up gradually, and a lot of them don't want to pay a lot of money for a self-assessment tax return.
Yeah. Okay. So, Nicola, where do you see your business changing? Because tell us a little bit about your business, because you're very active on the social media. You run a branch. You used to run a branch in conjunction with another, and you called yourself the sofa, which was always the big joke at the time, because there were two of you rather than a chair. But you're now the chair again. So tell us a bit about you and what it's all about for you being a bookkeeper.
Okay. Well, yeah, at the moment, I did have a quick look to see how many clients I had, because I thought you might ask that question. So currently I've got 42 clients, ranging from ones that I'm working on possibly a day a week or more, and down to the very, very small of I see them once a year for a few hours, and that's what it entails. So a variety of different sorts of clients. So most of my time obviously is doing that stuff. I've got a couple of part-time staff that work with me. I have an accountant and also an assistant. I have to say my assistant does most of the social media side of things, so I'm trying to keep on top of it at the moment, but I've had to furlough her, so I'm trying to do that myself, not as much as we had been doing, but yeah, I'm trying to do some she's a big help with all the techie side of things. So yeah, and then obviously running the branch. So obviously that's quite different at the moment. We're doing it online. I had got some speakers lined up for the next few, so I'm hoping they will still want to come and do it online. We've had a couple that we've done online so far that have worked very well. More of a meeting style.
They're bringing new people along as well, aren't they? People who you've not seen before.
We've had a lot sign up with new names that I didn't recognise. Not so many actually turn up on the night or on the day that we've programmed for some reason. I don't quite know why that is, but we've had a few new names. We did actually have a new one start just before we went into lockdown, so we'd met her face to face, and she's continued to join us, which is great. And then our normal crowd that like to get together all the time still come every time, and we've actually had a couple that moved away. We invited them back as well, and they joined us last time, which was lovely to see them. So yeah, it's a crowd. That's right. Yeah.
We June and I went up to a meeting in Stafford, and they were up there. They just moved up, and so that was nice to see them again. So I noticed on the list there that they were back on the Welsh list.
Yeah, well, I invited them personally anyway, just seeing if they wanted to come along anyway. So they might, I don't know whether they'll come again, but it was just nice to touch base again. So yeah, it's the normal crowd that you sort of see in a branch meeting, but then the wider community as well that we see at Summit and Inspire Tour and all that sort of thing as well. So it's nice. That community feel is really nice right now.
Yeah. So Kathryn, how about you up in Scotland? I mean, is it easier now that everything's online, that you can get to more?
I find it easier because whether I go to Edinburgh or Glasgow branch meetings, and I kind of zip between the two of them, it takes me quite a while. The Edinburgh ones recently, they've moved them out of the centre, so they're actually easier to drive right up to. The last one I was there in person was definitely easier, because a lot of us are coming into the city rather than being based in the city. But certainly if I need to go to Glasgow, it can take me about an hour and a half by the time I've kind of driven somewhere and then got a train, etc., etc. So yeah, I like these online ones. They're quite handy for me, but it's not quite the same as seeing people in person.
No, I mean, yeah, we're getting very good attendances generally. We had fantastic attendances for the Inspire Tour. A lot of people we've not met before. But yeah, I think as a community, we are pretty social. We do get together. Lots of people have got friends from right across the country that they've met. I mean, Caroline, you've been to a lot of our seminars and everything else. I mean, how are you finding this social separation?
Well, to be honest, it's allowing me to get everything sorted. Because even though I sort of feel like I've lost time, I've also made time, because we have a 5-year-old, so he's at home, so we're homeschooling. So that's difficult in itself, especially with a 5-year-old. But in regards to sort of missing my clients, I don't tend to sort of venture out to them very often. There's just a couple that I see during the week, and being able to do it online and everything like that has sort of made it easier. So for me, it's not going too bad.
I mean, I hope you don't mind me saying, but you've had a few health issues in the past, if I can lighten them slightly to that. I mean, you've gone uphill and down dale quite a bit, and you're a real survivor. So is this just another one to add to your list of humps to get over in life, or what?
To be honest, that's how it feels like. Yeah, I mean, everyone will probably know because it's all on the ICB. But yeah, I had a stroke 12 years ago. So it's a testing time for me, because they do class me as a vulnerable, in the vulnerable category. But it's also helping me sort of recharge as well, because I'm very much, I put everything into work. I tend to throw everything in. It's not unusual for me to work throughout the night, just to be able to fulfill, to be able to keep my clients happy and to make sure all accounts are done correctly and will be submitted on time. So yeah, no, I tend to take things in my stride. I'm trying not to get too stressed. I'm trying not to sort of get overwhelmed with everything. So yeah, I just think just take it in your stride and see what comes of it.
But I mean, that was a major event in your life, obviously, to have a stroke. I thought it was supposed to make people want to get more out of their life, not go straight back into work and do even more than you did before. So what happened? Did you not get that vision, or not get that need?
No, I mean, for the first few years, I couldn't even lift my head up. So there wasn't any potential to doing anything. But then as soon as I started to regain who I was and what I wanted, I realised I didn't want to be a victim. And anyone that sort of says, oh, you're a stroke victim, I'm not a victim. I've sort of tried to pull myself together and retrain, hence doing the bookkeeping. And I love it. I absolutely love it. So, and I wouldn't change it. Obviously, I wouldn't have a stroke given the choice, but I think it's made me the person I am today. And also, with my work ethic, I could have quite easily just sat back and gone, poor me. But I just wasn't prepared to do that, and like I say, now we've got a son that we were told we would never have. It's teaching him that no matter what life throws at you, you've just put your all into it.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen quite a lot of what's been going on, obviously, over the years you've been with us, from the days when you had a helper, then you had the sticks, and now it's all sort of gone, and everything else. You've done remarkably well, I have to say. It takes something to get out of bed in the morning when you've got a few problems, but I mean, it's good to follow your progress.
Thank you. Well, like now I've got the bionic leg that I got through the NHS, so I'm eternally grateful to them. And it's silly things like now I can carry my own laptop because I've got my left hand back, and before I couldn't carry it because I couldn't trust my right hand to support it. And I just feel that every day I'm getting stronger. Obviously, there's these setbacks like the COVID-19, but in regards to work, I love what I do, and I'm not afraid to say that I absolutely love what I do.
I think actually most of our members do. I mean, this is this thing, and it's great. And being the chief executive of an organisation where people are generally very happy makes my life a lot easier.
Absolutely.
It's cuckoo land because there's always something going wrong or something or other. But no, I mean, I genuinely enjoy doing what I do because everybody's so nice. And, I am missing not being able to talk to everybody at conference, even though I'm normally rushed off my feet and I'm nervous about being on stage or whatever it is, and I get 2 minutes with everybody. But, I'm missing that. I am missing it, but it is good to be still talking to people, and a lot more people, perhaps, on this type of event that we're having now, just because something's been thrown at us. So, Nicola, I mean, you've done a fair bit of different stuff for your branch. You did a video. Your daughter got the video.
Yep, that's right. Yeah.
How's she doing, by the way?
Yeah, she's doing great.
Out working now.
Well, yeah, but she works with me part time, so she's the one that's been furloughed.
Oh, well, that's mean, isn't it? Right. Okay. Yeah. Oh well. Okay.
She doesn't live with me, so yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair enough. So, what are you going to do to move out of this? Are you going to have to make some big moves to change from what you're doing, or do you think just more of the same? Has this lockdown given you any bright new ideas or something?
That's a very good question. I mean, people keep talking about all this extra time that we've had, but I'm not sure that any of us have really had any extra time to think about much, really. So great ideas for the future. I don't think I've had those just yet, but I think it's probably just more of the same. I don't know when I can move back into my office. That's an unknown at the moment. Obviously, we're all working from home, and so I've just sort of pitched up in the hallway, hence you can see the stairs behind me and things like that. So it's slightly different to normal, but yeah, it's a case of just seeing how things go. And obviously we're still in lockdown in Wales, whereas in England it seems like things are slowly sort of opening up a tiny bit, but quite when it's suitable for us to go back to the office, I don't know. And whether that means then working slightly differently going forwards, again, I'm not sure how that how that's going to pan out. I think we're going to have to sort of see how things go and take it one step at a time, really, to see what if we need to continue to work differently going forward a long time, or whether it's just going to be getting back to normal relatively quickly. Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see, I guess, on the advice that we're given, really.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have been talking about everybody will now want to work from home, but I think we're finding with the ICB team, because everybody is working still, they're all working from their homes. One or two of them are lucky that they've got somewhere where they can sit quietly, and they've got their desk and chair put to one side. And Agatha's partner, she was very excited. He actually made her a desk, so I mean that's pretty good. But Kerry, who looks after all the branches, she has not had those facilities, and she's now put her back out, which is a bit of a shame. So she actually asked permission to go to the office the other day and take her chair away so she can take it home with her. So she's got a proper upright chair to sit on. I think she's been working on the sofa in the lounge, and on a coffee table or whatever it might be. But so I'm not sure it's actually as much fun long term as some of them think it is short term. But Kathryn, you are normally working from home anyway, yes?
I work quite a bit from home. I've got some clients, a couple that I go and see every week for however long needs to be. One of them's 80-year-old, so he, I obviously can't go and see him, but he turns up at my door once a month and brings me a whole lot of invoices to sort of payments for and management accounts. But yeah, I mean, I have an office set up in my house anyway, so that's, I've got all of my paperwork here and all the rest of it. So in that respect, I'm set up for working from home regardless. You just have to be a little bit more, you speak to people more on the phone or by video or what have you, but I have had quite a few turning up at the front gates just to drop stuff off and, sitting on the gate post and reversing, while I go and pick it up kind of style. But yeah, it's, normally I try and work from home as much as possible because it makes it's more flexible for me because I have quite a few animals. So if there's any issues with the animals, then it means I can quickly deal with it if I'm already at home, you see.
Yeah. Wow, yeah, okay. ICB, as I said, everybody was immediately sent home as soon as we found out about the lockdown, and they took their phones home with them and they just plugged them into their standard router, and we've been carrying on almost as if we're in the office. It's just that we're in different offices and we can transfer and all that sort of stuff is great. And when we first started, we had a huge surge in the number of people who thought, I'm going to have some time now, I'll do some exams. And we've had a lot of people taking exams, but actually, yeah, like you've all been saying, really, it hasn't been a quiet time. It's not been a case of, right, we've got nothing to do now because we're just carrying on. But yeah, it's been quite interesting. So, I mean, we are, I think, the only one of the professional bodies that hasn't furloughed its staff. So that I'm waiting to get that confirmed, but that's quite interesting. So all these big 100-year-old organisations that have got millions sitting in the bank somewhere have been taking the government's money, which I find a bit strange. Such is life. What do we do next for everybody, do you think? What's going to be the next call upon ICB and its support? I mean, Caroline, what do you think you're going to want from us next, if anything?
I generally think a podcast. I really do believe you could do well with a podcast and structure it around exams, identifying ideal clients, that sort of thing. So then you've got your students that will be interested in it because obviously they're starting up, and then you've got your, members like myself that have been members for quite a few years, that there'll be stuff on there that's fresh and new for us as well, and updating legislation, whether that be stuff through Companies House or HMRC, just a general podcast like once every 2 weeks, once a month. I think that would be good, personally.
Better than a webinar. You're quite happy to sit and listen, not?
Yeah, well, especially because of how things are at the moment. This 3 o'clock one worked well for me because Sebastian's with his dad, so he's not running in and out of the office. but some of the 3 o'clock ones have been quite hard for me. But with a podcast, obviously, you can go back to it time and time again. You know, it's like the Inspired tour. I'm quite enjoying just going back and watching them again and again. And I do believe that's what you'd get from a podcast, just that stay there so you can just listen back to them or pick out the points that you want. And yeah, I do think that'd be beneficial.
I think we, a bit like yourselves, have looked at what we're doing again, decide if there's anything else we need to do. And certainly podcasts are something we're looking at. Amy and her team have put together a list of subjects. In fact, we had a Zoom meeting about it this morning. And we're going to be doing a series of more what I would call educational type podcasts. Systems is something a lot of members have been saying. You know, I really don't have any systems in my business. I'm telling everybody how to run theirs, but I never really think about running mine. So Claire Mantle, who some of you might have heard on here or seen on here, and she was also as part of running a session as part of Inspire Tour. She's produced a set of systems for her practice, and I haven't seen all of them yet, but they seem to be exactly what everybody probably wants. So we're going to work on something so that we've got something to give our members, so that people start thinking about it right from day one, rather than try and catch up 3 years into the business when life's going wild. How to grow your business is always a popular one, and Paula Beasley-Smith is doing something on that for us. But we have, excuse me. We have a lot of members who say, well, I don't want to grow my business. I'm very happy. Sorry, that's the first time that's happened in 27 episodes or whatever it is. Never mind. Talk to us about running our business better rather than just expanding, because we don't all want to be multi-millionaire bookkeepers or whatever it is. We're very happy with our business where it is now. It gives us a good life mix with our business, and we want to carry on that way. So I think by giving webinars where people can pick and choose, you're right, it's a good idea, and we're certainly working on that. What about the Scottish contingent? I mean, what is there anything that you can think of at the moment up in Scotland that we need to be doing? Because we're getting more people to webinars at the moment, or branch meetings, and to these meetings. It's always been a difficult place to get to up in Scotland. I mean, we've got Edinburgh, we've got Glasgow, but there's a big chunk of other people and members higher up than that. Aberdeen, sometimes Inverness we did last year. You know, is this our opportunity to just get to more of you? And if so, how? What do you want?
Well, I gather there's quite a lot of us up here, aren't there? I mean, you'll know better than us, but obviously geographically it can be a bit more tricky. You know, you've got the nucleus of Edinburgh, Glasgow, and you can go Dundee, Perth, or Aberdeen, etc. But I think there are quite a few of us sort of loitering in the middle of nowhere. So that for that, these online things are great, because then we can keep up to date a lot easier than trying to actually get anywhere. You know. It's,
we're always asked to go somewhere different. You know, it doesn't matter where we go. Well, could you come to my town or my city next? And isn't it supposed to be Perth that's bang in the middle of everywhere? Isn't that the central point or something?
Yeah, it's quite, because I can get to Perth in about an hour. So Edinburgh and Glasgow can probably get there in about the same, and coming down from. But you got, and you know, Scotland is a huge place. If you've got people up at Wick right at the north, then they're a long way from anywhere. So even if you get somewhere up near Inverness, that's still quite a travel. I suppose we're just not quite as densely populated as some of the places further south.
No, well, that doesn't make you any the less needing of our support and guidance and everything else. So we're always keen to do that. And we had, when we introduced the proctored exams for the M8 exam, our final exam for membership, one of the ladies was from up in the islands, and said that she normally have to take 2 ferry trips and about a 5-hour round trip to take her exam. And now she didn't have to do that. She was able to do it at home, proctored. Everybody, it was all done properly, etc. And she was over the moon. And she got her exam, which is great. So I think we can do things. but we need
online
to get the social thing back as we can.
Yeah, online is definitely very, very helpful, and it makes us feel more, you know, a lot of us work on our own, so it makes us feel more attached to the bookkeeping community, I suppose.
So do you get involved sort of with farmers clubs or anything else, or are you're literally by yourself?
I'm a member of the local amateur dramatic group, which obviously we kind of have a bit catch up on Zoom at the moment, but I take part in pantos and produce some of their comedy shows.
Oh, no, you don't.
Yes, we do. So that is, you know, that along with my animals, you know, if the clients are all driving me crackers, that's how I kind of release and go and sing and just generally make a prat of myself.
Oh, okay. Well, not today, Wickham.
No. A serious face today. Yeah.
So, Caroline, you said you were going to tell everybody why you're not visible today, but I won't embarrass you. So, right. Yeah. So, is your life going to change now after all this, or not?
I would say probably not, to be honest. I think, because like I say, I don't go out to clients every day of the week, so working from home the whole week has actually been quite nice. No, I genuinely don't think it will, because my clients are now slowly going back to work, so that's good for them. Once the self-employment grant comes through, that's going to take a lot of strain off a lot of my clients. I think I'm going to be one of the lucky ones that can just carry on, hopefully, throughout all of this. The only thing, obviously, now that I'm worried about, from a, let's say, selfish point of view, is I'm getting accounts in, but I'm getting accounts in from the same people that say they don't have any money. So it's a case of, it's not going to hit me now, but it could possibly hit me in 2 or 3 months' time when they don't pay their bills. So that's sort of what I'm worried about.
Yeah, how do you cope with that then? Because I was listening to a podcast by one of our members, just somebody else's podcast recently, and she was saying that she expects prepayment now. And if they can't prepay, then she doesn't bother doing the work. I mean, that to me sounds very cruel. It's actually very businesslike. Yeah, I mean, is it an option, do you think, or not?
No, I mean, I wouldn't go as far as that. I must admit, when it's the people that I have spoken to that have outlined that they're worried that they don't have any money, that when they send it in, I'll extend my payment terms, but if they can't fulfill the payment within the terms, the extended payment terms, they need to notify me prior to me basically chasing them. Because I don't want to put a penalty charge on it, but also my invoices aren't open-ended. They're not a pay when you can, you know, they're not a pay when you can, because obviously I have overheads that I have to pay for. So it's just identifying the clients that I do believe are going to have an issue paying it, and with an extra 30 days or even an extra 60 days help them, because if it would, then that's fine. But what I'm not prepared to do is do a full set of accounts and not be paid for 6 months.
No, absolutely. I mean, Nicola, have you had any problems this way, or are you toughing it out and telling people pay up or shut up, basically?
Well, fortunately, no, I'm okay. Everybody seems to be paying as they should be. The ones that maybe I bill by the hour that I'm not doing so much, obviously I'm not billing quite so much, so I'm losing a little bit that way. But on the whole, most are still paying. If I'm doing the work, they're still paying, which is great. So I'm not seeing it yet. I did ask the question, I think, at one of last week's meetings, as to if we do hit trouble sort of 2-3 months down the line and we need help ourselves, how long are some of these loans likely to be open, that if that is applicable or likely that we might need to use them or wish to use them, that we might still be able to have access? And that's an unknown as far as I know at the moment.
Yeah, I think we've heard from a number of people who don't need it but are taking it anyway on the basis that it's free for 12 months, so therefore they can just give it back afterwards when it comes to the loans, you know, not so much the grants but the loans.
Yeah, well, the question on one of the, I looked at mine on the bank I'm with, and the question, I went through it just to see what it asked basically, and one of the questions was, have you seen an effect from COVID on your income? And you had to say yes or no, and if you said no, then you weren't eligible. If you said yes, then you could get it. But I'm thinking, well, if we haven't seen the effect yet, can we truly answer that question? So it was an ethical, moral question.
Yeah,
on that front.
And we have to be careful with that, don't we? I think stereotypically the Scottish are not always very well. They're very good at looking after their money. Are you finding that your clients are claiming poverty and wanting everything done for nothing, or not?
Not particularly any more than usual. I mean, I've got one or two that are difficult to get money out of at the best of times, but generally because they don't have any, and because I do their bit, I know that's the case, and I have to kind of work with them. And when all these claims have gone through, and you know, then hopefully they'll have some money, etc. There's one of my clients that produces magazines, advertising magazines, and I normally do a good few hours for them a week, and that's obviously immediately stopped. That's quite a big thing that's just gone out of my income. So I've been encouraging the self-employed to get their accounts and tax return information to me, etc. But so far people are paying up. So and this is obviously this coming week they'll start putting their claims in, for because there's quite a lot of them aren't working at the moment, but they'll be putting their claims in this week.
Yeah, I suppose it depends a lot on the relationships you have with clients. Okay, it's interesting to know. I think it's pretty well the same across the entire UK. In fact, we have a large office in Australia, one in New Zealand, and they're virtually exactly the same. You know, the distances are somewhat different, and the clients are a little bit different, but you know, I've said so many times at conferences and various other things, if you showed photographs of our members from right the way around the world, but took away the caption, you wouldn't really know whether they were English or where they were from. And it's the same with the work that they do, I think. The Australians have a lovely way of coming up with a phrase for everything. So they've got job keeper instead of we've got job retention and all this sort of stuff. But it's basically the same. I think everybody is struggling in exactly the same way. And I think New Zealand now, we have our board meetings at either 11 o'clock at night or midnight, because that suits them and us, really. And I've got one tonight with our people from New Zealand, because they're coming out of lockdown now. I mean, it's a small place. It's a bit like Scotland. You know, people don't see each other very often, and all the rest of it, they're a long way apart. And we're waiting to see how that goes. But it's bringing with it its own set of challenges, because all of a sudden, people are getting back to work. They're not reliant upon funding anymore. They've got to get back and find new clients. And some of their clients have disappeared. And then they've got other new clients. So it's just mirrored all over the world, I think. So it's an interesting time. So, Caroline came up with the idea of podcasts. I mean, what else is it that ICB can be? I'm not asking you to do my job, but what else is it that you would like to see from ICB as you move forward? Anybody, any suggestions?
Well, I think in terms of branch meetings, it might be a case of some carrying on Zoom and some being face-to-face down the line, that we use a mixture of mediums so that we can get people that can't get to an actual meeting for various reasons. We can still get those. We were talking about the spread of Scotland. We have that obviously in Wales too, with North Wales and South Wales and West Wales and rural Wales, and you know, a lot of those people wouldn't be able to get to our meeting down here because it's just way too far. And even up in the north, if they went across to England, you know, it's still a fair trek for them to get anywhere. So I don't know whether we've pulled anybody in from anywhere else in Wales to our meetings yet. It would be interesting to know, but certainly ones that are a bit more in the rural places, it might be a long-term thing to keep them engaged in the locality branch meetings, to have some sort of form of branch meeting online still going forward.
Yeah, I think the difficulty will come with the branch meetings where you get a 50-50 split. And 50% want a meeting, they want to see a branch meeting, but they want to stay at home, and others want to meet up. Whether or not that will reduce the cost effectiveness, therefore the viability of a local branch meeting. Because if you're going to get 10 of your people who want to now do webinars, but you've got only 10 people perhaps who want to come to a meeting, you're going to get to the stage where that gets a bit boring if you've only got 10 of you. So I think we're going to have to play it by ear as we go through. We've already discussed it back at ICB, so we'll see how that goes, I think. But I think yeah, I'm looking forward to the challenge, certainly. You know, and hopefully I mean, we're told it's going to be the biggest recession since 1600 and something or other. You know, that sounds fun, but you know, we can't sit back and say, right, that's it, we're upping sticks, we're not going to bother anymore, because we can't. You know, we all want to pay the mortgage and feed the kids and all the rest of it. So we've got to move forward. But I like to side with the people who say there are going to be huge challenges, because actually the amount of business that's coming about is going to be phenomenal. So let's hope that is the case. I'm certainly hoping we do a lot more of buying British. You know, I've noticed that everything that I've been buying online from Amazon seems to come from Germany or some other country at the moment. I mean, why isn't it coming from the UK? And, you know, all this PPE stuff that people have been crying out for, when that stuff arrived the other day from Turkey, something about twice the size was leaving the UK to go across to Germany or somewhere or other. Seems nonsense that we keep crossing, you know. It's a bit like the old argument about Welsh lamb, isn't it, really? Remember those where the Welsh lamb was crossing just as we were picking up the New Zealand lamb? And seems nonsense, really.
That infuriates me now in the shops here. It's very difficult to get Welsh lamb, but we get this New Zealand lamb everywhere. And you think, we are in Wales, what's the matter? I can see the sheep on the hill there, you know.
It's those in the agricultural sector have been trying to make quite a bit of noise about especially the last few years, with you know, really good quality products in the UK and far too much being imported, etc. So hopefully this might, you know, bring about a little bit of a change for it, which would be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so. It'd be nice to think we could eat more local produce. I mean, it's well, they're saying about fruit and everything, aren't they? That it's best if it comes from the soil that's close to where you are, because that's got the nutrients that your body needs. Yeah, I'm getting a bit over my head in this one there, but yeah, I think so. It would be great. But I mean, there's got to be a reason for it. Somebody must be charging too much, or somebody must be trying to offload something. I have no idea what it is, but still, we'll see how it goes. But the farmers' markets are certainly doing really well. It would be nice to see that. What about you, Caroline? Where do you go for your shopping? Is it all supermarket, or do you do some of the farmers' markets?
A bit of both. Yeah, we do a bit of both, or we used to. We haven't since this has happened, because Danny's doing all the shopping, so it's very much like you want to get in, get the list done, and get out. But I do sometimes find with farmers markets, although I love going and it's British and all of that, that's great. But then the price is then hiked up, and it's like sort of weighing up almost the cost and benefit.
Yeah, they call it organic and it doubles the price or something or other. Yeah.
Exactly. This is it. And I just think, you know, I would love to be able to say that everything I buy is sort of from around here, for the carbon footprint and everything like that. But like I say, when you go to farmers markets, they do seem to hike the prices up. And it's like, but why? When you've got a captured audience, look after that audience so they come back and buy constantly from you, rather than once a month, once every 3 months.
I think the problem is that we've been so used to cheap food from all over the world, and that actually, as someone that produces lamb, it's not cheap to do it on a basis where, you know, high quality and, you know, free range and all the rest of it. And I think that's what some consumers have been accustomed to lower prices, and then we get to the stage, so we're priced out of the market. You know, it's almost like it's a luxury item, just because it's done on a smaller scale, etc. The scales don't really work quite so well, so it can be quite difficult to kind of. We have, you know, if we send our lambs into the market, we have no say on how much they're going to make, because at the moment we're not allowed to follow them into the market. We're banned from the market. So we're getting the same price that we got sort of in 1985 or something, you know, but the cost of everything else has gone up. So it's quite difficult if you're trying to work it like that.
Yeah, I suppose that's the problem when you go to a market, isn't it? It depends on who's buying on the day. It's a bit like putting something up for sale in an antique market.
Yeah.
That's interesting stuff. Anyway, we've sort of got off bookkeeping, but that doesn't matter because, I mean, it shows that there is life out there. You know, we're all individuals and everything else. I mean, Caroline, you mentioned Danny there. I mean, he's been quite a support for you, hasn't he, over the recent years? Minder and other things. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Is he working? Has he got his own, you know, he's allowed to go to work now, is he?
But he basically supplies leather. So obviously he gets it from all over different countries. So that predominantly coming into the UK has stopped. But manufacturing within the UK has started to go back. The first factory started going back yesterday. So they're getting all their PPE and everything to make sure it's all safe. So once they start going back, then Danny will be able to then send out leather. So, yeah.
But I mean, he must be relieved now that you can look after yourself more and he can go back to doing what he does.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, we work well as a team and we always have done. And, you know, the reason why I've got a successful business is because he's been supporting me, whether that be helping me carry staff. You know, like, you know, he used to come to the ICB meetings because I couldn't carry my own plate or my own cup. And, you know, so his support is, you know, he's wonderful. Obviously, I don't tell him that, but he's absolutely wonderful. So yeah, we work well together, and we're sort of, like I say, dealing with Sebastian now being 5 and working from home, and both of us still trying to work. So yeah, it's a good tag team at the minute.
Okay. I mean, do the others? Do you get good support from the rest of your family, or is it oh God, they're talking bookkeeping again?
Yeah, no, of course we do. Yes. Yeah, no, my husband will go to my office and pick up any paperwork that's been dropped to my post box, things like that, and do the shopping, things like that for me, and helped me bring all my stuff home from the office initially. So my phone and my computer and things like that, and chair. Yes, I brought my chair home too. So,
Yeah.
you know, so it's things like that, just lugging heavy things around. Yes, definitely get support like that, and picking up posts and things like that. But I mean, working from home, my husband, he's retired, so he normally likes to play loud music, so he's having to use headphones and keep it down a bit while I'm on the phone or in a meeting like this.
How about you, Kathryn? Have you got a support network there?
Yeah, my husband, he's actually a financial paraplanner, so he does all the technical reports, etc., for financial advisors. So he did accounts at A-levels, you know, donkeys years ago. So it's actually quite handy. Just, you know, we can bounce ideas off each other if you kind of, you know. And I get some business through some of his contacts, etc. You know, if they're looking for accounts or tax queries, etc.
Yeah.
But it you know, it's quite handy if you're kind of stuck on this. You can just go and kind of use them as a sounding board, I suppose. But yeah, very, very supportive. And he's got an office in the next room. I've set him up in the dining room, so he's not in my office. So that's also quite important.
Well, June and I met at work 45 years ago, I think it is now. So we started working together anyway. Then obviously she had children, but the business was always there. And then we set up this institute 24 years ago. Yeah, I have to say it has its hairy moments working with your partner because there isn't much of a stop. You know, and Amy and James have both worked in the business at different times. Amy's still there. James is now doing all of our tests, but has his own company. But unfortunately, their partners are fed up with the fact that every time we have a Sunday lunch together as a family, all we end up talking about is ICB. We try very hard to bite our bottom for at least the first half hour, you know, but that's it, and then we can't do anything about it. So, but it is good, I think, to have people who understand what you're talking about. I have not had any experience of going home to somebody who says, "Who? What? Why?" You know, it doesn't work like that. We're heavily involved. So I like it. You know, not everybody does. A lot of people say, "How on earth do you do it?" But I suppose I just don't know any other way. So it's interesting. But anyway, I gather the football is coming back. I've just seen a headline popping up. I don't know what that means. Whether that means that they're going to be playing without people in the stands, or whether people in the stands have got to stand 2 meters apart and swear. I don't know. anyway, we'll see. And we're getting little snippets coming out. There's a big report being released, or may already been released apparently today, with a bit more meat on the bones that the Prime Minister gave away yesterday. So we'll see how that goes. So any big thoughts for the future? What would you say to our members, your fellow members, and the students that are out there thinking, is it still worth carrying on? Kathryn, what would you say?
Yes, it's definitely worth carrying on. I think the client bank might change a bit. I think that some businesses will just decide it's not worth trying to get going again after this, but there'll be new ones coming up, I think. I've always had quite a good relationship with most of my clients, you know, even the ones that I deal with sort of once a year for self-assessment kind of things. I touch base with them, you know, another once or twice through the year at various times. So I think it's actually increased the relationship. You know, the likes of last Monday, I just fired out an email to all my self-assessment people, and I got quite a good feedback from that. You know, oh, thanks, that was really useful, and all the rest of it. I think it's kind of enhanced the relationships in a lot of ways, because you're having to communicate more with them. You know.
Yeah.
And I've got some clients whose accountants were sending out stuff, and then they were coming to me going, I don't understand what the accountant sent out. Can you explain it? You know, probably other bookkeepers as well. Have you as well? Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of that, but that's great. Long may accountants continue to do what it is they do, because that makes our life easier and makes us far more relevant, I think. Nicola, how about you?
Yeah, I'd say definitely hang in there. I think we'll all get through this. It will happen. We'll all just carry on, and then in a few years' time, we'll look back and say, do you remember when? But I mean, yeah, like we said, the clients may change, but they come and go anyway. It's part of what it is being a bookkeeper. You do see clients come and go through all sorts of reasons. So I think, yeah, hang in there. If you're a student, it's definitely worth carrying on. It's definitely worth getting there and getting your license, or becoming employed bookkeeper, whatever your track is. And it's definitely a worthwhile profession to be in. Definitely worth being an ICB bookkeeper.
Thank you for that. No, that's great. Caroline, there will always be times when clients outgrow you, or decide to close down, or retire, or whatever. Is it easy not to take it personally, or do you think bookkeepers are just the sort of people that it always feels personal?
I don't really know. It's really hard, because I've had some clients for a number of years, and you know, I sort of look forward to their books coming in, and I've talked to them, and you know, we've discussed what they've been up to over the last year. And if I lost one that has been with me for a number of years, I think I would take that personally, not for any other reason, but just like, oh, you know, but also finding new clients. You know, I've had an inquiry from somebody who is a James Bond stunt woman. So, you know, yeah, so that's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. So, you know, that they do come and go, and it is important you don't take it personally, because there might be a number of reasons to why they're, you know, they may be giving up business, they may be going, you know, to another bookkeeper. There's so much that can happen that isn't down to you and what you've done.
I mean, obviously, you've mentioned a stunt double there, which is a bit unusual.
Yeah.
But I mean, talking to our members, the range of clients that they have is just unbelievable, really. I mean, there are some weird and wonderful trades and professions that they are supporting. I mean, I'm not sure what you do for a stunt double. I presume they have fluctuating incomes from various places, and that should be fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We've had a few chats over the internet, and I met her briefly just before Christmas, but she's been flying here, there, and everywhere. So she's now back in the UK, but she's now delivering PPE. So she's gone from, you know, doing these really fast cars to driving a massive lorry full of PPE. So, you know, I'm looking forward to sitting down with her and sort of ascertaining everything we need to do together. And yeah,
I'd be careful not to upset her too easily, but you know, yeah. Wow. Yeah. son used to go to school with the son who is now actually a stuntman himself, but a Vince, and I've forgotten his surname now, who was always the stunt double for Harrison Ford. And he seemed to have a whale of a time, but every time you saw him, something was bandaged up or on a stick. You know, he didn't knock himself about a lot, which is why they don't let the stars do it. But yeah, it's an interesting time. What's your most interesting client, Kathryn? Anybody really different?
I don't think I've got. I've got one that does Botox type things.
All right.
You know, not something I want to go down, but she seems to be very, very successful at what she does. I have a lot of hairdressers, and you know, I don't think there's anything.
Oh, I'll be glad when they come back. Look at this. I look like Shirley Temple here, but I can't go anywhere. I've been
I got my husband to cut mine. He threatened me with the sheep shears, but I got him to calm down and just use the scissors. But
very trusting.
What's your most unusual client?
It's probably the funeral services people that deal with all the different councils and funeral homes around the country, supplying everything that goes with funerals. So that's probably the most odd one. So I sort of go to their site every now and again, and you see coffins and all sorts of things on their shelves. So that's quite an interesting one.
Yeah, I suppose it is, isn't it, really? Yeah, actually, many years ago, I used to work on a local newspaper in the advertising department. One of my clients was a funeral director. And they used to make quite good jokes about themselves, you know, all sorts of, you know, the sort of it's a dead end job and all that sort of stuff. But they seemed to like to try and lighten the load. But then as soon as a client came in, they went back and became the solemn, very caring, very helpful. And I suppose you have to lighten the load somewhat, or else you'd be no fun when you went home for tea, would you, really? But so it's just, perhaps we ought to try and find out who's got the most interesting clients across the ICB. That might be interesting. If the stunt lady certainly comes up there, but I'm not sure there might be other people. We did once upon a time have a tightrope walker, but she retired. And we also, one of our members was, I've forgotten his name, he was from Showaddywaddy. Is anybody old enough to remember Showaddywaddy? Right, well, he was the drummer from Showaddywaddy, and apparently his agent had been taking far too much of their money for a long time, so he decided to do his own books. And he did the books for everybody in the band. So he was taking his exams on the ships that they were now playing on, because Showaddywaddy had lost a lot of its major popularity. So he was always good fun. And we have a lot of people from the RAF and the Army and various other things. But no, it might be worthwhile competition. Well, look, ladies, thank you very much for coming on today. I hope the amount of notice we gave you didn't sort of worry you too much, give you too much time to think. Caroline, thank you very much for coming on as well. I've got a picture of a green phone. I don't know what everybody else has got, but that's great. It's very nice of you all to come on. It's lovely to talk to the members as always, and I can see here we've got a lot of people on who are listening intently to your experiences. Everybody likes to learn from somebody else, and please keep in touch if there is anything that you as panelists today, or anybody else actually, is listening. If you can think of something that we need to add to the list of things like webinars and various other things, or what have you, just please let us know, because as an institute, we try not to just tell you what we want to tell you. We do what we hope you're going to want to receive from us, and we're always happy to consider doing more. Certainly nobody's ever suggested we do less yet, so we'll keep trying. So thank you all for coming on. We're past the hour, so I think we'll give that a miss for today. So thank you very much indeed, and goodbye everybody. We will let you know probably first thing in the morning who our guests will be tomorrow, and we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you all. Bye.